You now have an amazing opportunity to advertise on the Trento Vision Show. If you want more information about this excellent opportunity for your business, please contact Tom Trento at 561-319-5533, or you can email him, tom@trentovision.tv. The opinions expressed on the following sponsored program are strictly those of the host, guests, and callers, and not necessarily those of this station, its staff, management, or sponsors. Welcome to Trento Vision, where bad ideas get pulverized and the truth will set you free. Trento Vision is hosted by Tom Trento. Tom can be reached at 561-319-5533 or tom@trentovision.tv. Listen and watch every weekday from 3 to 6 p.m. on AM 1470 WNN and trentovision.tv. Now, let's get a peek at Tom's view of the world. Here's Tom Trento.
Mark. There we go. It's often very perplexing to see the images that come out of a TV screen, to read the news stories, to look at how the world is changing just directly in front of us moment by moment. What? Okay. And right now, on this 3 minutes after 3 o'clock, on the 10th of December, 2012, our country has a heavy heart in one respect. But in a couple of states in the Union, Colorado, Washington, there's probably 28-year-old guys reaching states of euphoria. You've seen the video. You've seen the news coverage. You heard about the referendum, the amendments that were passed in some of these states that legalized the smoking of marijuana. And you may have been following the stories. I saw one the other day, sort of a group, at the second that the law took effect, group of guys and girls, 20-somethings, many of them 28 years old, lighting up big, gigantic cigar-looking joints, passing them around, and then the experts, the pro-legalizing marijuana experts would come on and talk about the wonderful progress the United States is making, legalizing marijuana. And when the questions were asked, the bottom line was Americans have the right to reach a state of euphoria through the ingestion of this drug. And many 28-year-old American men were doing just that. And when they were interviewed, they were smiling and laughing and being euphoric. Well, 28-year-old by the name of Nicholas Czech is dead. Nicholas Czech died a couple of days ago, 28 years old. And he died, in a sense, defending the right now. These laws have been passed, so certain states recognize it as legal activity. He died, Nicholas Czech died, in a sense, for allowing these 28-year-old men, and Nicholas Czech was 28 years old, these 28-year-old men to enjoy life by reaching this ecstatic state of euphoria. Well, Nicholas Czech spent his life a little differently. At a younger age, he entered the United States military, went into the Navy SEAL program, became a Navy SEAL, became dispatched to East Coast team, and then elevated through the ranks to become a top-tier operator, SEAL Team 6. Well, over the weekend and today, Dr. Dilip Joseph of Colorado is an extremely fortunate and happy individual. You see, about a week ago, Dr. Dilip Joseph and a few of his friends, while walking in Afghanistan, were kidnapped by a group of jihadis, and through negotiations with tribal leaders, Morning Star, the organization that the doctor worked for in Afghanistan as an NGO, non-government organization, a non-profit organization, looking to help the people of Afghanistan by improving their medical capabilities, training the tribal leaders and physicians there to take care of the Afghanis, to improve their life. Dr. Dilip Joseph was kidnapped, held for ransom, while two of his colleagues were freed by the kidnappers. The jihadis decided to keep Dr. Joseph and send him over to Pakistan, and where he would be transferred to different jihad organizations and eventually held for some sort of ransom or killed as an act of terrorism by the Afghan Taliban. Well, Nicholas Czech, 28 years old, the other day, strapped up, put his gear on, as he did many times. He was a highly decorated SEAL, and he participated in a near flawless operation to rescue this doctor. In the operation, in the battle, Nicholas Czech from Monroeville, Pennsylvania, 28 years old, suffered mortal injuries and died a short time after being shot up. But his team, most likely SEAL Team 6, was successful in rescuing Dr. Dilip Joseph and killing about 8 of the captors. So it's just interesting as we start this Monday and dealing with some critically important national security issues. It's interesting to look around the country and see a bunch of 28 years old young men believing they've reached nirvana, almost literally, by now having the right to legally buy marijuana and maintain a state of euphoria, because that's what America is about to them. And then the same aged person felt that what America is about is giving your life to save others. So, for all of you 28-year-olds out there, figure out what side of the equation you think makes the most sense. Figure out why people like Nicholas Czech do what they do. Figure out what the world would be like if America had more 28-year-olds that were primarily concerned about living in a state of euphoria than a world where 28-year-olds give their lives for people they know nothing about, but because they live on principle for this flag right here. So, as we start Monday, our sympathies go out to the Czech family, Monroeville, Pennsylvania, and to the SEAL team, East Coast SEALs, all the SEALs, the whole SEAL family. As you know, we're pretty friendly with a bunch of them on a difficult day for these guys. But knowing these guys, they soldier on, they get up, and they do not miss a beat. They may shed a tear or two, but they'll be there when the Dr. Dilip Josephs or you, if it ever befell you a fate like that, are in need. These guys will be there for you. You can take that to the bank. All right, it's Monday morning, and man, do we have a lot of stuff for you this week on TrentoVision.tv. And on the radio side, we are at WNN in Boca Raton, Florida, on a kind of a blustery day. Looks like it may rain a little bit. We've had no rain since we've been here, maybe a couple of drops for 3 or 4 months now. I love the rain. I love when it rains, and we're looking for the rain. Maybe the grass could use it, turning brown out there a little bit. But many developments over the weekend on national security issues, our primary area of focus, and then our other primary area of focus, President Obama. Just about a week or so, folks, before... Man, aren't you happy? Aren't you happy for the Obamas? They're going to go on a 20-day, well-earned vacation to Hawaii, to a multi-million-dollar resort. They're going to fly there in Air Force One at a cost of $3.6 million for the round-trip flight. They're going to eat cuisine that you and I wished we could see, let alone eat. I think they're bringing Bo with them. Bo's their little dog who costs $100,000 a year for to keep the family nice and happy. So we will follow for you the difficult, how hard it is to travel on a vacation, but we'll keep you in tune. We'll let you know every day what the president is doing, what he's eating, where he's going, and how he's spending your tax money as he takes Air Force One, not over the cliff, but goes over to Hawaii. But what we need to do right now, as we start our week out and focus on Egypt today, what we need to do right now is to welcome back our dear CJ. She is here. Let's bring CJ into the picture and give her a round of applause. Yay. Hello, CJ. How are you? How are you?
Hi, I'm swell. Thank you.
I'm
happy to be back.
Rule number 1, all barfing goes in that direction, okay? Not this direction. Okay.
Yeah, well, you guys picked a great day to order pizza. That's all I could say.
Not me.
I mean, usually it smells like a locker room in here, but now it smells like a locker room with pizza.
I am not eating the pizza and the stromboli. Is that what you ordered, stromboli? Calzone. Michael ordered a calzone. Joe said it's a great place. I mean, we asked him. He said, this is the place. I am not eating it because I will announce publicly I'm 5 pounds less today than I was last week.
Oh my gosh,
that's fabulous.
Actually, so am I, which is not so fabulous.
See if we can put a hose into me.
Can somebody deliver a milkshake, please? I like strawberry.
For the audience, CJ is supposed to be gaining weight, the doctor says, and the doctor says to me I'm supposed to be losing weight. If we can put a hose into my gut and just give you all the...
No, that's not kosher.
It's not the way it works. Okay. That's right. I have to do it the hard way. The gym every morning. My alarm goes off 4:59. But I'm reading a good book. I'm reading Ollie North's book, Heroes, whatever it is. Heroes something. It's a weird name.
My heroes have always been cowboys?
No. It's a weird name to his book, but it's a novel. But he built it. It's really about... his exploits, all of that to a great degree. But it's a spy thriller and all this stuff, and it's pretty good. But when you're on the machines, it's easy to read. It's big type, and you can read it. Yeah, it doesn't think. So that's what I do. I'm working out in the gym with reading all these books. No, Heroes on Heroes something or other. It's a weird name. Heroes.
Okay, when I said that was somebody's cue to find Willie Nelson on the...
Yeah, it's Oliver North, Heroes Proved.
Heroes Proved. So I guess the book is going to prove that there's heroes in the world.
Okay, so I guess we are not having Willie Nelson on
No,
the
Willie
show
Nelson
today.
is not on the show today. So let's... How are you? Tell the people we've been getting emails and questions. We go out. How's CJ? All of that.
Oh, no.
Yes, you're doing okay.
Don't you want to get back to the show?
You're assure everybody that you're okay.
I am okay. Thank you. Yes. And I will be back tomorrow, too.
Oh, no, 2 days in a row.
2 days in a row.
I had to do everything I could to keep Mark from putting pins in the seat where you're sitting.
Actually, he called me last night and he told me not to come back. He said I don't have. He says I don't have to worry about hurrying back because I don't actually have a chair anymore. And then when I get here today, A little bit late, mind you. Okay, but
was already
still,
moved in.
he was already moved in. It's like he wasn't even kidding. I says, "Wow, you weren't even kidding about that, were you?"
Don't worry about it.
No, the disembodied voice, Mark, who said, "I don't want to be on the camera. Never want to be on camera." When you weren't here,
Yeah.
he said, "All right, I'll sit there." He didn't want to leave. He loves it. He's got fans out there and everything.
Following, yeah.
You
Oh,
know?
he's got fans?
Yeah, he's got fans. Well, he has,
Oh.
he's
My
got
wife.
Disembodied.
Fan. Singular.
No, I think that scam homeless guy in New York that the cop bought the boots for, I think he's a fan of yours
Yeah.
too. He's a scam. You hear about that?
Yeah.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
totally.
Yeah.
He's got an apartment. He's got
Even
a whole
I
thing
knew
going on.
about it.
He's just
Yeah.
a little wacky, you know.
Whose
but the
is
cop
this?
did the right thing. Cop did the right thing.
How's that, sorry?
Ooh, doing stuff. iPhones. So here we are, and for our new viewers and new listeners just tuning in, my name is Tom Trento. I run an organization, and we're all involved with the organization called The United West. You can go to theunitedwest.org to check it out. It's a counterterrorism educational organization. We don't go after bad people with guns and bullets and bombs and all that. We do go after bad people educationally. What does that mean? Well, go to the website, theunitedwest.org, and you'll see our work. We do investigative journalism. We do investigative video advocacy work. We do all kinds of different things. You can check it out there. There's a mission statement. There's goals, objectives. It's a whole deal, theunitedwest.org. And part of the problem in our chasing jihadis around the United States for the past 7 years, catching some of them, which is interesting, we found that we had a DOJ, Department of Justice, that was MIA, DOJ MIA, out to missing in action. This DOJ chose to, December 5th, Mark, I think you were there.
Right.
When Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, KSM, who was the mastermind behind the World Trade Center, when the DOJ holder and the president wanted to bring him from Guantanamo Bay to downtown Manhattan, there were some rallies. We were there that day,
That's
December
correct.
5th, 2009 it was.
Oh, I was there too.
Were you there?
Yeah.
Yes, you were.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
That's right.
That's right.
You were there through
Yeah.
something else. How did you get that? You went for somebody else.
No, I went with you.
Did you come with it? But you were helping Beth, I think. You were helping Beth
I
organize
ended up
it. Yes,
helping.
yes,
Yeah,
yes.
of course I ended up helping.
Beth
There
Galinsky.
was no way that I was going to go there and not help.
That's right.
Yeah, and we didn't have the money for me to come, but I managed
The
to
last
find
minute,
the
yes,
airfare,
yes.
and Jerry Gordon had a friend of his put me up at their
That's right. At
their house.
Yeah. Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Well, the fact of that, we were there protesting this Department of Justice, wanting to bring Khalid Sheikh Mohammed into New York and try him as a regular criminal. Once you step on the United States property, there's doctrines that say you now have constitutional rights as it relates to due process. Insane. And we shut that down. We being a lot of people.
Right.
I mean, Tim Brown was there, and all kinds of Andy McCarthy, and all kinds of people were there.
Yeah.
Well,
David
I'll-
Beamer
I'll
was
take
there.
it one step further, Tom.
Disembodied voice, folks. He's back. Give him a hand.
I'll take it
It's
one step
hard.
further. Is
Yes.
not only is the DOJ MIA, they are more complicit.
Yes.
It is
Preach it, brother. Yes.
No, it's
You're
to
right.
the point of I mean, the turning away from something is one thing, but turning away, failing to prosecute when it's obviously to prosecute, that means you're just complicit and you're in bed with these guys. You know, even going back to the Black Panthers. Also, you
Yep.
get the 80 boxes of evidence sitting there on the Holy Land Foundation trial that have not done anything.
Yeah.
They're just sitting there and they refuse to release those 80 boxes.
Yeah.
When they already released the 80 boxes to the prosecuting people who were convicted of terrorism charges, we can't look at them. Give me
Right.
a break.
No,
Right.
that's the reason why.
MIA would be preferable.
Yeah, exactly.
I wish they were just
Yeah.
MIA.
Complicit.
Yeah.
That's the reason why in September 3rd, 2012, we launched Trento Vision at 2 to 3 in the afternoon here on WNN 1470, giving you a little recap as to how the heck we got here, why we're here, where we're going. The whole purpose was to take our great wealth of information and our resources of phenomenal national security experts worldwide and to provide tangible empirical evidence as to why you should not vote for President Obama if you want to keep America safe. But no, you don't want to listen to us. You didn't listen to us, so guess what? We're going to stay around, okay? We had only
You're stuck with us
we
now,
were only going to
kids.
stay until the end of November. We're going to do our job and move on to brighter pastures. But we're here, folks, so get used to it. 3 to 6. Now, not only are we staying, we've increased the time. 3 to 6 every day. And we are going to tell you why this president is a danger to the free world, his policies, his Caesars, why they view the world differently than George Washington and Abraham Lincoln and even John F. Kennedy viewed the world, and why their view of the world is wrecking the world economically and militarily when you concede strength and you create a situation where you're perceived as weak. That weakness is filled by an Islamic demonic vacuum. That's what you're seeing in Syria. That's what you're seeing in Gaza. That's what you're seeing you're going to see it in Jordan soon. That's what you're seeing in Egypt. And it's interesting. I haven't heard a word from the president on Mohammed Morsai's new trials and tribulations.
I mean, his new martial law, Mohammed Morsai peace partner.
Martial law. Well, you know, democracy. America had martial law at times and all of that.
Democracy is such a tricky thing, isn't it?
That cable is pulling that camera over there, that one cable. It's, that one right there. You
got me stuck back in my hole again.
Well, you got a chair right there. Go sit there.
Well,
or you
I
need
can't
that
sit
thing.
over there because I got to.
Oh, you got to do that thing. Okay. You just want to be close to the
Because
pizza.
CJ stole my mic, she stole my headphones, she stole everything.
You want to
she
be
came back,
close.
just took over again.
You want to be close to the pizza when it comes. That's what happens. And don't, and you know, I'm doing fine.
Will there be Cokes too?
There's Cokes and there's Pepsi and everything.
I'm doing fine, but don't get the pizza too close to reaching distance. And I'm tethered with this thing here. But in any event, that's why we are on the air. We're here to provide information and have a good time while we're doing that, to let you know about what's going on in the world as it relates to national security, as it relates to Islamic Jihad, as it relates to various policies, the sequestration of the United States military, which means slicing it to ribbons, and not having the capability to extend the reach of SEAL Team 6 to do these sort of missions that save the lives of Americans. We're going to bring you all that information. And right now, the Middle East is aflame. I mean, in our lifetime, that could be said at various points. If you were born after 1948, it was inflamed before that. It's been inflamed for a while. But in this modern age, it's been in various levels of aflameness. This may be the most dramatic and most serious. We have chemical weapons being bandied about. We have nuclear weapons being run about. We have missing man pads. It's just a mess. But you know what? Mohammed Morsai, graduate of the USC, University of California at Los Angeles.
University of Southern California.
USC, University of Southern California at Los Angeles. The president of Egypt will straighten everything out. We have a special guest we're going to bring in a few minutes who is in the middle of the Egyptian chaos. We have an Egyptian woman coming on. We're going to Skype her in a few minutes, and we're going to have her here for about an hour and a half. Yeah.
You know, what really gets me is when you hear the liberal leftists who are all tied up with the Muslim Brotherhood said, they're the moderate Muslims like Chief Downing out in L.A.
In Los Angeles.
And all you have to do, and this is another thing we didn't have on tape that we put out with Chief Downing, is all we have to do is work with them, get them to know our system, get them to know who we are, and then everything will be okay. Well, that's exactly what happened with Morsi. I mean, he could not have been more indoctrinated into the Western system, the Western government, the Western ways, the Western traditions, the Western everything. And what's he do? He goes over to the Middle East and declares martial law, so he implementing martial law so he can enact Sharia law in Egypt.
Hey, man, that's the way it is in the world, in the Obama world today. Do you have the Syrian tank ready to go?
The video?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here's a little. We're going to tease you on a little of the stuff we're going to get to in hours 2 and 3. A couple of the rebels in Syria. Now, Syria's a mess because on one hand you got Bashar Assad, who is a lunatic, an Iranian puppet, Soviet agent and just an all-around bad guy. And he's on one side of the battle. On the other side, you got AQ, you got Al Qaeda, and you got the MB, the Muslim Brotherhood, joining forces. So pick your poison. Who do you want having
who do you root for?
70,000 missiles and all kinds of crazy stuff? But I take a little bit of exception. I think we're being set up. World's being set up when you hear that Bashar Assad's going to gas his own people. He's not gassing his own people. He's not finding his supporters and saying, "I'm now going to gas you." He's gassing what he perceives as his enemy, which are Syrians that are rebelling against him. From his point of view, they're not his people anymore. They're the enemy. So it's a little disingenuous for the media to say he's gassing his own people, like he's just, carpet bombing areas where he knows he wants to kill his own people.
They're kind of tribal over there anyway, though. So
yeah, and gas goes all over the place for sure. But their
so if it
their
isn't
view
his
is,
tribe, then
their view, the Alawites, their view is they're gassing if they gas. But Israel said the red line is the movement of the mixing of the chemicals, and the United States said the red line is the moving of them. Whatever the red line is, it
they
ain't
changed
good.
their mind about it
It
anyway.
ain't good.
So yeah.
Do we have the?
Well, that red line's moved so much from the first time you said it till now, and it's just like, he keeps moving the line all the time, always towards, more and more catastrophe.
Yeah, that's up in Syria. We're going to jump down to Egypt in the middle, but we got to show you this as a little bit of a tease. It's the ingenuity of the rebels. The rebels don't have tanks. The tanks are supplied by the Soviets to Syria. So the rebels got their welders out, and take a look at
Okay, you just want
a
to see how many
Syrian
times
tank.
you could say Soviets instead of Russians
Yeah,
before
yeah.
I call you on it.
Oh, that's
eh?
right, the Russians.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're not Soviets anymore.
I mean, they act like them, but still.
Here we go. Not quite a.
He's driving with an Xbox controller. I love it. Or is that PlayStation? I'm sorry.
This is a real
Look at that.
Syrian homemade tank.
Controller.
Oh my gosh.
Now, for those of you on the radio side, you don't have the privilege of seeing a. It looks like that show. What's that show?
Mythbusters.
Mythbusters.
Yeah.
Looks like something they would build. You got to go to TrentoVision.tv later on this evening. Look at the archive of the Syrian homemade tank.
Look at
It looks like Mad Max.
It looks like a Mad Max vehicle. It's got a 50 cal on the top. It's got all armored plating. It's basically like a.
It looks like a toy tank that you build in your backyard.
It's like the Middle Eastern version of when you used to
Like
look in the
those
back of comic
go-karts.
books when you could build your own hovercraft.
Yeah.
It's like what they did.
It looks like that.
Yeah.
Well, it really is a metal coffin, is what it is. Man.
With a PlayStation controller.
With a PlayStation controller on it. In
It
any
really
event.
does look like a little game
It
thing.
is a game. It's
is
a
a game
PlayStation
thing.
controller.
You
I
got it
wasn't
right?
making it up.
You have it
He
up?
knows his game
I'll
things.
grab it right now.
Yeah. If we go from Syria and go south through Israel and then cross the Sinai, we get into what country, guys?
Egypt.
Egypt. We're going to go to Egypt right now. The way we're going to do that, once we get our special guest, Cynthia. Is Cynthia with us? There we go. We're getting her up. We're going to put Cynthia
That
on
is such
Skype.
a
But while
cool
we're doing
sound.
that, if you need a lawyer, one of our sponsors of Trento Vision is our friend Peter Feynman. He's a Palm Beach attorney, 30 years. I'm sure, CJ, over the weekend, somebody goes, "Oh my God, I need a lawyer." Somebody in South Florida.
Somebody had a bad weekend.
Somebody had a bad weekend
Yep.
from Miami to Orlando, from
That's
the
right.
ocean to the Everglades. Somebody said,
Yeah.
"Anybody know a good lawyer? Call your friend up right now." If they asked you, a good lawyer, Tom Trento and the Trento Vision team, we're recommending Peter Feynman. His picture's right there. He's our attorney. He's our personal attorney. He's our corporate attorney. He's our activist attorney. He's
He's our personal friend.
He's our friend. He's written a couple
Yes.
of books on the jihad issue. He's the national committeeman for the Republican Party. He's an academic. He's a speaker. And next week, in January. January, he will be sitting right here flying this crazy Syrian, this Boca Raton tank. We have Cynthia.
We have pizza.
So we have pizza and Cynthia. Cynthia, would you like some
Who's
pizza?
in charge of the pizza?
Let's put Cynthia up. And hi, Cynthia. You're with Tom Trento and CJ and Mark and Mike.
Hi there.
My favorite mug.
What's that?
Just got a no Obama mug. Oh, you'll see it on the.
Oh.
A no Obama
Oh, all
mug.
right. Give her a
Awesome.
hand. All right.
Yay!
Beautiful. We love it. How do you pronounce your last name? What's the correct pronunciation of your last name?
It's exactly as you read it. It's Farahot.
Okay. Wait, somebody's walking in here with pizza. Oh, watch it.
No, Mark's walking out with the
It
microphone.
sadly rhymes with Arafat. Someone told me that, and I'm going to change it for this.
So say it again.
Farahot.
Farhat.
Farahot.
Farhat. Okay. That's the way I've been saying it. That doesn't sound like Arafat. I guess a little bit. It's got a little bit of the Arafat
That's
in there.
very sad. Yeah.
Now, let's
That's
establish.
unfortunate.
You're going to be with us here for a little bit. You were involved in an amazing event over the weekend that, in many respects, is historic in terms of the event. Now, the implication and the intended consequence and all that, we're going to get into that. But let's establish for our viewers and listeners who you are and what the heck you're doing here, okay?
Sure.
All right, tell us a little bit about you.
Well, actually, I'm a political activist. I was active in Egyptian politics since 2002, after 9/11, and our basic objectives. I joined similar Egyptians with similar concerns after 9/11. We were devastated because America was always our safe exit. We knew that America existed there to always the free land of opportunity that we can always escape to. But when jihadists started attacking America as well, we took it very personally, and we decided that we should fight this where it starts, which was in Egypt, where the government was literally fostering jihadi ideology and jihadi doctrine. So I've been active in Egyptian politics. I co-founded two political parties that were rebuffed as legal entities under Mubarak's dictatorial regime because he did not want people like us to be the option. He always wanted to put the West in the vicious circle where they have to choose between jihadis or dictators. And we wanted to send a message that this is not the reality of Egyptian demography, and that was a lie. So we started our political activism, and we suffered tremendously under Mubarak's regime until finally I had to get out of Egypt in 2011 after the military dictatorship, and someone from military intelligence personally threatened me, and they killed a friend of mine in cold blood in the street when they crushed him with military vehicles in October 9th, 2011. So I came to America, and I continue to work here for the same objectives.
All right, now this is fascinating. You were born, obviously. What part of Egypt were you born in?
I was born in Cairo.
All right, so you're born in Cairo. Now you're a Coptic.
Yes, Copts are because during it's a complicated issue to explain what the word Copt means because it is misunderstood that it means Christian, but it definitely associates with Christians now. But the origin of the word means Egyptian.
Right.
In the Coptic language, which is the only known spoken Egyptian language that has survived and currently banned and has been banned for a very long time, for centuries in Egypt.
And just for a little historical context, the Coptics, you've been there. I mean, Saint Mark from the Bible, from the New Testament, went to Egypt and founded the church, didn't he?
Precisely, yes. So you can say that Copts are Egyptian natives, although, of course, the majority of Muslims as well would be described as Copts. But when Egypt underwent a lot of Islamic conquests, they always segregated people religiously because that was the national identity. So they said, if you're not a Muslim, you are a Coptic. And that is because they represented Islam at the time of the conquest as a national identity and not a religion.
All right, but let's get the timeline right for the viewers and
Right.
listeners.
Right.
Saint Mark, the Apostle Mark, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. Mark was there in the 60s A.D. If I got my history right, that was before Islam, I think, by about 600 years, wasn't it?
That's true. That's right, yes.
All right, what's going on? Why there's 10% of the population of 80 million people are cops, and 70. What's the
That's
deal? What are you
miracle on
doing?
its own.
What's
To be
that?
honest with you, when you live under Sharia law, it's you're not a citizen. You're basically a hostage and a war booty. So it's almost a miracle that they have survived because they are strong people, and there are a lot of moderate Muslims there that live side by side with us and share our concerns and objectives.
All right, so you obviously, where'd you go to school?
I went to school I went to several schools, but they were always, I received Western education. It was Egyptian education, but in English.
In Egypt.
Yes.
What area did you focus in?
I went to school, actually, I studied what everyone studied, and after I graduated from after I got out of high school, I was supposed to study art, but because it is a fascist state, the government decides what you should study. So they did not allow me to study art, and they assigned me to study law, and of course I wasn't going to study law at the time because it was Sharia law.
Oh boy,
And a little bit of French law. But I decided to study Sharia law on my own to understand why the country was so corrupt and evil, basically.
All right, so where were you? Where were you physically on 9/11?
Well, that was a day that I will never forget all my life. I was in Cairo. And my grandmother was watching CNN. And she called me and she told me, Cynthia, come see what's going on. And I couldn't believe it. I kept telling her, that's a movie. That's a movie. I can't believe it. That's not happening. And we realized that it was actually happening. And we were very distraught.
All right, now how did life change? I mean, here in the United States, we're down in Florida, 1,200 miles from New York. But the reverberations, the shock wave of September 11, 2001, was dynamic and destructive all over the United States. And everybody points to 9/12 as a different period in American history from that day forward. Was there any demonstrable change in Egypt, particularly with those who were pro-American after 9/11?
Oh, certainly. There is life before 9/11, and there's life after 9/11. That's how it was. Because 9/11 was one of the scariest moments of our lives when we realized that this ideology is metastasizing. So we had to do something about it. We had to stand up. The silence was not an option. America was our only escape if things got bad. It was the land of hope and opportunity and freedom. So we were not going to accept that, because being born under a dictatorship and living under dictatorship all your life is one thing, because that's all you know. But seeing it happen from the scratch all over again, that is by far worse and so much more painful.
Now, you grew up under Mubarak, Hosni Mubarak, a dictator for sure, and you received obviously a pretty good education. Did you have an opportunity to travel, to go to Europe or come to the States during the 2000s after 9/11 and up till before you left and came here?
Yes, but actually, I received horrible education, by the way. I was receiving the state education, but in English. When I went to school, they were teaching us, they were indoctrinating us jihad. They were indoctrinating
you're
us the
kidding.
biography of a terrorist called Uqba ibn Nafi', where they used to teach us how to chop off the limbs and ears of infidels, and that was our objective. That's what they taught us in school under Mubarak.
Wow.
And even in American schools and Western schools. So I received a horrible education, but I had a good family, and my mother used to tell me, whatever you learn at school, you leave that at school. You do not bring it back in the house, because obviously she was horrified by it. And I did travel to Europe a lot, but always on vacations and for very short durations, maximum 2 weeks. And actually, I coincidentally was there when in London when the 7/7 bombings happened in 2005. I was basically right at the site. I was supposed to be on the bus that exploded. So I have suffered from the jihadist ideology basically all my life, even right here in America.
On many levels too. Now, on your first trip abroad to England or to somewhere in Europe, and I mean, what was it like for someone? I mean, there were certainly freedoms in Egypt because Egypt was Mubarak was trying to have sort of a Western country, and tourism was going on, all of that. So there was the exchange of Western tourists. It was. I'm thinking I have never been to Europe to Egypt, but I'm thinking that it wasn't like going in and out of communist closed regimes like Korea or Vietnam or Cuba, where you can just sense the denseness of evil, and you get into a Western country and there's freedom and liberty and excitement. Was it like that? Was it as dramatic, the transition or the difference in a European setting as opposed to being in Mubarak, Egypt?
No, but Mubarak did not try to keep Egypt modern. On the contrary, he was the one who actually was responsible to actually turning it into what you see today on the news. Because Egypt in the 70s was, and before that, Egypt was sort of a European country. I have a skirt that used to belong to my mother that she used to wear it on public transportation to university that's literally this big. So, no, Egypt wasn't really what you see today. It was incredibly westernized. And my family, and there are a lot of places in Egypt that you can go to, and women can walk with wearing a bikini in the street, like Sharm el-Sheikh and Hurghada and Ain Sokhna. So it wasn't really very dramatic. The only difference was that I felt safe, because I have been under threat since all my adult life, since I turned 21 years old. So the only sense of security, this was the dramatic difference.
All right, and you're establishing yourself in the United States. You've established yourself, and the illustration is this past Saturday, and we have video from there and pictures and all of that we're going to get into. You're going to stay with us for a while here. You've established yourself in the United States as an activist. Do you remember the moment in Egypt where you made the mental, the psychological, the philosophical transition to where you said, okay, now I fight? Do you remember when that occurred?
No, because it was a long process. It didn't happen overnight. It started in my teenage years. Even before that, I started as a child. I was very curious to why reality was the way it was, because it was pretty perverse. You would think that someone who was born under dictatorship would get used to it, or this would be what we consider normal. But this life is never normal. It never felt normal, and it always shocked the hell out of me. A friend of mine asked me when I came to the U.S., so is there any sort of cultural shock are you feeling here? So I told him, actually, no, it feels pretty normal. Egypt used to culturally shock the hell out of me every single day. So I don't recall the transition. I recall an opportunity. that happened because I was very interested to understand what was going on. So I decided to study Sharia law, and I did that ritually every day for 12 years to understand exactly the psychology and the motivations and the ideology that makes reality the way it is in these countries. And I got my answers, but I got the opportunity when I met with a group of like-minded people in 2002, and we were sort of an underground online movement with just nicknames on computers discussing ideas, and that's why I actually got a computer to have access to ideas on the internet. And we met, and we decided to meet in person to do something about what was going on. And we met at an Egyptologist's residence, Mohsen Lutfi Sayed, and that is how we found the opportunity. And also because we were not under Mubarak's dictatorship, under emergency law, you are not allowed to assemble if you are more than 5 to 7 people and discuss politics. Under emergency law, this could have gotten us abducted or arrested by Mubarak's dawn visitors.
Wait a minute. I want to get that law
Yeah.
back on the record here, because all of us in the States would be in jail in 2 seconds. What is the law? What was the exact detail of the law?
The emergency law in Egypt did not allow political assembly, or it did not allow people to assemble and discuss ideas. That would make us prone to being arrested, tortured under Mubarak's emergency law. If you are more than you're 5 or 7 people and you are discussing politics in a residence or anywhere, that would allow Mubarak's dawn visitors, which is Egyptian state security, to come and abduct us from our beds at dawn, because that's how they attacked.
Wow.
And that goes back
we
to
had to establish a
1981?
political party to have a legitimate cause or a legitimate establishment and justification for our assembly.
CJS, does that go to 91?
No, 81.
81, or you said it's an
That goes
emergency
back to
law?
1981 when emergency law was established? Or
It goes back to 1981, but also Sadat implemented that and Nasser before him. So that has been going on since 1954, basically.
Wow.
People are terrified to discuss politics to the extent that I hid my political activism from my own family for a long while. They
For
did
the-
not know
To
what I was
protect
doing.
them.
I was going
For their
out
safety.
with
Yeah.
my friends for coffee or
I have
maybe
two-
even beer.
I have two
But-
people here that want to ask you a million questions, but I'm establishing something with
Right.
you for the viewers and the listeners. Your background, who you are, where you came from, and then the second hour we're gonna get into a discussion. The next step in your process to where you are now. We're in 2003, 4, 5, 6 or so. When did you surface? When did you say, okay, I'm an activist, and when did you start becoming an enemy of the state?
It was underground, where we discussed ideas. It was never. It wasn't really. We weren't militant or anything, because the word underground can sound scary. But we were just meeting to discuss ideas, because ironically, saying that I want separation between mosque and state used to get people raped under Mubarak's regime and killed and stabbed in the street, like Barak Buddha, a huge Egyptian intellectual who got killed in 1992 for saying that. So we were an underground movement, secret movement online, and then we decided to emerge into the light and meet each other in person in 2002 and 2003, and that is when it became public, because we were obviously the minute everyone was under surveillance if you use the internet, so they knew what we were doing, and that is what they used to blackmail us. And Mubarak's state security told me in 2007, if you do not stop your online meetings and your online activity on Paltalk, which is a chat program,
Yep.
we are going to send your contacts to Al-Qaeda leaders.
Oh, boy.
So I knew that right then. I told them, so I was right about you, that Al-Qaeda is your proxy. I was right about that. And they almost admitted that in their threat to me.
This is 2007 now. What I want to get into the so-called Arab Spring. And were you there in late 2010, early 2011?
Yes, I was there. I only left late 2011, October 2011, after my friend got killed and the military intelligence told me I was next. And I believe them, because they killed him in front of TV cameras. So I definitely believe them. I knew I had absolutely no leverage, and we had no allies in the administration. So I knew it was over. So I had to get out, but I was definitely there, and no one got it right. To be honest with you, sadly, no one here got what was going on in Egypt right in the media.
Well, we're gonna get it. We're gonna get it right today. You're here, and you can set the record straight. A lot of us have done, tremendous amount of work watching and looking and all of that, but none of us that I know here lived through it. So we're gonna walk through this with you, if you don't mind. You got some time to hang with us today?
Sure.
Good.
Awesome.
Good. All right, we got a couple of minutes before we have to break. Let me, CJ and Mark, both ask a short question, and then we'll get into this stuff in the next hour with Cynthia.
Okay, well, one thing I was curious about, Cynthia, is what is your mother's background? Because you said that your mother wanted to make sure that you didn't bring your education into the house with you, so she clearly knew what was going on, and she wanted you to have a different worldview. I was kind of wondering a little bit about her upbringing.
Well, thank you for asking that, because she's definitely my model, and she's a hero. In my book, all the women in my family were, but that is pretty common in Egypt, especially among the middle class and upper middle class. Everyone knows, it's common knowledge that Egyptian education is incredibly vile. But my mother, she was, they suffered under Nasser's regime in 1952, and they were also from the upper middle class. And Nasser, of course, came after our guns in 1952. And that is what I always tell my American friends.
That's right.
The day you give away your guns, it's over.
That's
You're going
right.
to be Egypt, but only a worse version of Egypt, because America is more technologically advanced. So, of course, they came after our guns and then property, and then it was all downhill from there. But she studied French literature in university. And my dad was a professor at the American University, and he was a physician.
Okay, you had you had good stock. You had good stock. Mark, we got about 30 seconds.
Oh, wait, go ahead.
Okay.
My next one I want to hold over for the next hour, because that's going to be a longer answer.
Well,
yeah.
We're here with Cynthia Farahat, who is you're the Associate Director of Coptic Solidarity, and you're a fellow with the Middle East Forum with Daniel Pipes, right?
Yes, I'm the Advocacy Director at Coptic Solidarity and Associate Fellow with Middle East Forum.
Perfect. And we'll put all those sites out for you, websites later. But the reason you're here, apart from us listening to this fascinating background of yours in the country that is really in the center of the explosive element of the Middle East, the reason you're here is because you were involved in organizing a historic event on Saturday in front of the White House, protesting President Obama and his collaboration with the Muslim Brotherhood, lifting up Mohammed Morsi, and you and hundreds of your fellow Egyptians walked several miles to the Egyptian embassy, protested there. We're going to get into all of that with Cynthia Farahat and myself, Tom Trento, CJ Mark. We'll be back in just a few minutes, folks.